the wisest. And he searches for this answer, and eventually it dawns on him that he's the wisest because he knows that he does not know. Whereas all the others pretend that they know. This humility, remember, that's a hallmark. Of course, this is now a great and ideal system that I'm talking about. How does one achieve that? How do you redefine education in whatever formal processes that you have? Will this Central Board of Secondary Education be willing to let a situation prevail where you have to clear 5 disciplines and you have to do that? But then, we are mathematicians, and one of the first things we understand that you can have an ideal, and I'll illustrate quickly. All of you are familiar with geometry. All of geometry rests on a point and on the concept of a line. The moment I draw a line, I have negated the very concept of a line. There is no such thing as a line. I cannot draw it. It's an idealized situation. So remember this. You enter this world, you sully your ideals. You cannot escape from that. As Kabir said, Kajal ki kothari hai. Daag to lagegi. Compromises to hongi. You will compromise. But let not that impede you. So keep the ideal in mind, as mathematicians do. They draw these lines and points, and they create a geometry that allows this room to be built, allows this computer to function, allows steam engines to work, allows other things to happen. So it does work. It does serve a purpose, no matter that it's not the ideal situation. So what could we do that allows a child to look inside? And again, I always, as I said, there's nothing new that I have to say. My point is to bring focus on some of the tried things of the past. And I worry, because I've noticed, at least in my country, and I presume this is true in many situations, that we hold certain things in disdain which involve some sort of physical action. Gandhi repeatedly said, in the context of education, what you do with your hands will enter your heart. He said it repeatedly. And I want to understand. He never said anything about anything until he had experimented extensively and then drawn conclusions. And in the context of education, he first set up a school in South Africa, which he ran personally. Then he set up a university in Ahmedabad, which functions till today. And it's an amazing university. Of course, sometimes we get involved too much with the mechanical parts, and we forget the concept, the philosophy. It is in danger. But it still functions and has some great things to offer. I send my students from this university over there regularly, and they come back transformed. The point is that he said you must use your hands. But here, for all kinds of reasons, the Brahmanical view, the Brahmanical disdain for using your hands has permeated Indian society. And remember this, people say that, you just need to think. Nobody thinks in abstraction. Nobody, not even Picasso. I've studied his life extensively. Not even Michelangelo. Not even Einstein. I've looked at their lives in great detail. Not Newton. No one. They all used their hands. All of them. You look at the life of Newton. Forever devising things with his hands. All the time. His ideas on gravitation come from his experiments with light. No one tells this to children in school. We just present a theory of light in abstraction on a blackboard. Gandhi held the board in some sort of disdain. We need to put that away a little bit. Now that we have technology and a little bit of ability to look with hindsight, which gives you near perfect vision, we need to understand that. What is the rush? What is this business of overwhelming children with all these things through a board and a bunch of books? Draw a balance. Of course, books are important. But they're only important if they spur you, not if they burden you. Have we thought about this? How many of us know of children who have picked up a textbook in school and exclaimed and reacted the way Mahatma Gandhi reacted when he was given Ruskin's Unto This Last on his train journey from Johannesburg to Durban? Gandhi says that when Kallenbach gave him this book and said, you may like to read this on the train, he commenced reading as the journey commenced, and he finished when the journey ended. And when he disembarked from the train, he said he was a changed man. He said, I had found my calling in life. This business of finding your calling in life is what education is all about. How many times have we found, tell us frankly, in your own experiences, how many times has a child exclaimed in all the 12 years of formal education we give at the school level, here's a book that has made me find my calling in life? We don't. Because we have overburdened, and repeatedly. And it isn't just Gandhi. I've seen Einstein say the same thing. Einstein, incidentally, people say he just discovered gravitation out of his head. He did not. He worked on the floor at his father's factory, which built electrical equipment. And he played around with magnets. And at one point in time, he was planning to take over the entire factory and run it himself because his father was not well. He was very much glued to the ground. People forget that when he was working on these great problems of nature, special relativity, Brownian motion, quantum effect, quantum theory of light, and then general relativity, he was nothing but a patent clerk at the patent office in Bern. Patent clerk, third class. And he used to work from 9 to 5. He was a man connected with the real world. You cannot remove yourself from the world. So we need to think about this. What are we doing? We collect students, we collect them, we put them into these classrooms, we confine them to these experiences, to the board, and the teacher rattling off things. Things have changed significantly since my time when I was a student. So if I sound a little dated, you'll have to forgive me. But when I go to these other schools that I now engage with, whenever I have the time, and I've done that a fair amount in the last 15, 20 years. I've traveled to remote parts of India, spent days on end with schools that serve the masses, inaccessible parts. And I understood that there is something that's missing here. And I think all of us profit from these learnings and experiences. So we need to think about that. Of course, you say this is a rat race. I need my children to do well in the school, all kinds of reasons. Parents get after the child, parents get after the school. How do I redefine education? I'm struggling with this concept of implementing a new system of learning in my university. And contrary to public perception that there is resistance within the university, there isn't. What all of us are worried about is that parents may object to this. And what am I trying to do in the system? And I'm hoping, and I'm in constant touch with the CBSE, and I'm hoping this will bring about a change in the way CBSE thinks. What am I trying to do? You use the word innovation, sir. I'm trying to innovate and get the students to innovate and learn through those processes of innovation which they run themselves and they devise themselves. And I'm trying to create a healthy mix of what people call blue sky and using your hands. And I can illustrate. So some time back, about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I set up this innovation center at the University of Delhi. The idea is to seek innovation in society, in education clusters, in industrial clusters, in village clusters, in slum clusters, and to bring them into our system for education. And then also to innovate here and take that forward. So it's a two-way process. And you need to do this in such a way that the child then finds his or her true calling in life. And under that, we set up what is called the Meta College. There's also a Meta University. So a lot of people mistake one for the other. Let me explain what the Meta College is. It's a design your own degree program. You have to enroll in this and find your way in life. And you need to do this not at the philosophical level, at the practical level. So what do we do? One, as I said, you seek innovation in different parts of society, and you bring it in, you study, you get inspired, and we're going to bring the nano in and just take it apart and see what you can do with it. But they also take some formal courses, lest you get the impression that this is all just balloony, you sit and just dream. No, they take formal courses as much as possible towards how they are inclined. So we try and facilitate that. But here's what's happening. So I learned some time back that this group of 10 students, they're encouraged to work in groups. Nobody competes against the other. They compete just with themselves. You be better today than what you were yesterday. Not to worry what the other bloke is doing. Just take as much as you can from him and give as much as you can to him. But no competition, no cutthroat business here. And I'll tell you, they're innovating in a million ways. This whole business of using tests to somehow trip people, to disable people. We are running experiments based on what we've done, and this hasn't just come out of a hat. It's based on 15, 20 years of work that my colleagues and I have done in many spheres. So we don't even give tests in the traditional sense. We tell them, you devise whatever test you'd like to ask yourself. And then you take it. And believe you me, the amount of learning that happens. And if we give a test, we just tell them, take the test. And the test doesn't mean a test. The test is to see how much more you can do. And then you take it again, come back tomorrow and take it again, and come back the day after and take it again. And the amount of learning, the amount of growth that is happening is significant. It's exciting. But a group of students read in a news item some time back that there's a village in Maharashtra, Satara district, that has devised an innovative method by which they have 24-hour running water in the village. So these students traveled by train all the way to Satara, 10 of them, and spent a great deal of time there. They studied the whole thing. Then they used high-end mathematics to devise a working model. Remember, there's mathematics in here. This whole business of connecting pipes to reservoirs, this business of using the flow of water, all of it is mathematics. There's a discipline called graph theory. It isn't about drawing curves as you do in school. Graph theory is a little more elaborate than that. Graph theory helps me design computers.